This is the plaintiff, Monique Morano. She says she paid a deposit in advance for a beach rental on Long Beach Island in New Jersey, and then COVID hit. She and the defendant got into discussions about canceling, and when she actually did, due to the governmental close down, the defendant told her no refunds. She pities this woman because when the world fell apart, all she cared about was herself and her commissions. She's suing for $2,525, the amount of her unreturned money. This is the defendant, Caroline Schaudel. She says the plaintiff was wishy-washy about canceling. And when she finally did, well after the deadline they agreed upon, she had trouble re-renting it and was forced to at a discounted price. Oh, the plaintiff for being indecisive? No way. She's accused of refusing to take a loss.
All parties, please use your right hands. Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff rented a beach house in Long Beach Island, New Jersey, and the whole state was shut down, so she wants a refund on the rental. But the defendant says the beaches were open and it was legal to stay at the time, so she shouldn't have to give the plaintiff her money back. It's the case of refusing to take a loss.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay. Ms. Morano, you had big plans, as the rest of us did, for 2020. And you were going to rent a house on Long Beach, New Jersey for your 50th.
Correct.
And what happened? You found the defendant's listing and you liked it, and you were going to rent it for how long?
1 week.
When?
June 14th to the 21st.
Okay. And what ends up happening?
COVID.
Yeah.
New York. And New York State was put on pause and to stay in.
Well, this is in New Jersey. The house itself that in question's in New Jersey.
Correct, but I live in New York.
So what was your original plan for June? You were going to rent a house for for 1 week, and how many people were you going to have coming and going, and what was the deal?
4 to 6. It was a girls' weekend. Myself, my best friend and daughter, we were going to just rent the house for a week. I've been to LBI before, so it's one of my favorite places.
LBI being Long Beach Island in New Jersey?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And so then what happens? COVID hits, and what? Your friends don't want to go, or what? What is it that makes you not want to have this? Or you're not supposed to be around your friends, or what?
You're not supposed to be around your friends. We're not knowing if we're going to be allowed to even leave the house or go onto the beach, because the beach was only open to people that live there, not people.
Okay.
And short-term rentals were on a ban.
Okay. So, Ms. Morano, when all this stuff is going on, you contact Ms. Schaudel and you say, what? Please give me my deposit back. How much had you given as a deposit?
$2,525.
And what did she say?
She emailed me on the 23rd because the rest
23rd of what?
Money, April, because the rest of the deposit was due in May 1st. So she wanted to know if I was still a go. At that time, I emailed her back saying that I was not sure that short-term rentals had been banned at this point. She was telling me that they were going to be lifted on the 15th of May, but the way things were going, every day to day, everything was changing. So I said on the 25th of April that it would be in my best interest to cancel. When she responded, so she responded saying, no, we should wait. I'm willing to wait to the 15th. Is that the towns and the email at Twitty Fish says, yes, I understand. My understanding is that the beach and the town will be open, but things will obviously, and as with everything, be different. Let's take a wait and see approach. No worries on the 15th.
Okay. And the reason why everybody's talking about the 15th is because at the time you're having that discussion, the governor of the state of New Jersey had banned short-term rentals until May 15th, correct? And then what happens?
So I said, okay, sounds good. Talk to you soon. That was on the 25th. On May 5th, she emails me, want to see if you want to go ahead with your rental. Beach Haven is open to renters. The beaches have not been officially open, but we expect an announcement any day. If you would like to move forward, let me know. I said, I thought we agreed to wait to the 15th. My concern is if I would be able to go to the beach because the governors are extending the public health emergency, and that does not seem like that would be the case.
What happens on the
So
15th of May?
I sent her an email at 7:26 a.m. and said, sadly, I'm going to cancel. There's too many uncertainties for me.
Okay, well, the question then becomes, do you have a right to cancel? And your feeling is, yes, I do, and I should get a full refund, which normally wouldn't happen. If there was no COVID, there's no question you wouldn't get a refund, because the contract says no refund. But your feeling is there's just, it doesn't say anything about no refunds?
No.
Okay. Understand, though, that the default position of any deposit, first of all, you have a contract. You're going to rent a place. So the default position is you don't get to have your money back because you're breaching the contract. If you want your money back, you're supposed to go forward with the contract. So you wouldn't get a refund if there hadn't been any COVID. So now we have to see if COVID allows you to get a refund. You feel that because of the uncertainty in the world, you should have gotten your money back. My question to you, Ms. Shudell, tell me why she is wrong. Go ahead.
Yeah, she signed a contract to rent our home. I mean, the beaches were open, but even if they weren't open, whatever she decides to do with my house under the contract is what she decides to do. But the short-term rental ban was lifted. The beaches were open. She needed to move ahead. I felt I could have countersued for the other half of the contract, which I didn't do, nor would I.
She's 100% right. What she just said is 100% right. Because here's where first of all, I disagree with you. Let me not say what you just said is 100% right, because part of what you said I think is very wrong.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Will the plaintiff get a refund, or will the defendant be able to keep the money? Let's find out.
I think it's very obvious that it is implied when someone rents a beach house that they intend to use the beach. If the beaches had been closed and she could not use the beach, under no circumstances would you be able to keep the money. But what ended up happening is that the governor of New Jersey extended it from May 15th to May 31st, I believe, and then lifted the ban. So short-term rentals are allowed during your rental period, and the beach is open during your rental period. I get it. It wasn't going to be the same thing you had envisioned for your 50th birthday. Perhaps your friends didn't want to be in contact with each other. So it's not the thing you planned. I get that. But this person was in a place when at the time of your rental, you could go. If you couldn't go, and believe me, I'm sympathetic, because I had children who were going to the Coachella concert in California, and there was a short-term Airbnb ban, and I'm like, thank you, Governor Newsom, because we got our money back. But otherwise, we wouldn't have gotten our money back, even though the concert had been canceled. Tough for us. So it wouldn't have been the rental we imagined. Tough. We wouldn't have gotten our money back, but then the governor banned. So you don't have that situation. Your situation is it might not have been what you wanted to have, but you could still absolutely rent and go and be with people you were quarantining with, and it doesn't matter. She doesn't have to return your money. The question is, can the defendant deliver what you contracted for? And the answer in this case is with the beaches open and the ban lifted, she could. So you don't get your money back. Now, I see some back and forth where, Ms. Shudell, you end up re-renting, correct? And you re-rent for a reduced amount. Right. So she wants to be made whole. She needs to get that rest of that money and hopefully not sue you for it, which she could do if she hadn't re-rented. So she does re-rent it. Okay. She's made whole. She doesn't have to sue you for the rest of it to get the benefit of her contract, which she's entitled to because she's able to deliver. And then, you don't get sued for the other half, and she just ends up making up that amount. Now, do you have a copy of the rental agreement that you reached with somebody for that week?
I ended up renting it for a month, literally to cover my cleaning and pool costs, just to cover the costs.
That wasn't my question. My question is, do you have a copy of the agreement?
Not with me, no.
Okay, but you have it, right? No, that's all right. I want to see it. I need to see it because I want to make sure that it's not a windfall. You're not entitled to a windfall. You're entitled to advertising. If there were advertising costs or anything else, anything you're out. In other words, the purpose of court is to make you whole, not to give you bonanza. So make sure you submit it to the court. Paid for the good news, Ms. Morano. Yeah, Ms. Morano, you know what the good news is?
What?
2020 doesn't count. So you never turned 50.
Right. I wish.
You never turned 50. When you turn 51, that's going to be your 50th birthday. All right?
Exactly.
So, based on what I've heard, my verdict, of course, is for the defendant, but you're both lovely ladies, and I wish you all a lot of luck.
I'm so sorry.
So the plaintiff does not get her money back. Ms. Moreno, let me ask you something. Are you surprised at the judge's decision? I know you thought you were going to prevail.
Yes, I am. There doesn't say anything about no canceling in the contract, but I guess, like the judge said, I'm bound to it. So it is what it is.
Yeah, well, you got a good explanation from the judge. But in any event, hey, you haven't had a birthday yet. That's good news, right? Very good. All right, Ms. Shadell, let me ask you a question. I know you said you could have put a countersuit on in this trial, but you didn't. Are you sorry you didn't countersue?
No, I feel horrible. There's no winner here. I feel horrible.
Yeah, I guess you're right in that. Okay, well, that's the way it goes, and I'm sorry about the COVID because that's what caused all of this to happen. Good luck to you, and thank you very much. All right, now let's join the judges for another session of After the Verdict.
Wow. It
bless
looked
her.
like the defendant was going to start crying.
I
She
know.
had tears in her eyes, and she said,
God
I'm
bless
sorry
her.
when she won. I think she gets it, and she understands exactly
feels horrible.
You know, how the hardship is kind of spread all over the place with the current COVID crisis. But your explanation of the contract law was pretty comprehensive, and so many things can go wrong outside of the weather. And I saw that the contract that you were reviewing and going through did talk about weather and said, hey, we're not excused if it rains every day, et cetera. But we have, like here on Miami Beach last year, they had this infestation of smelly seaweed that was washing up, and they were bringing in trucks, and they spent millions and millions of dollars to try to clear.
Yeah,
but
the mayor of
beach
Miami
stunk.
Beach was all over that.
Right, the mayor of Miami Beach, who happened to introduce us.
Who happened to have introduced us.
So anyway, 30 years ago.
30-something years ago.
That was a bit of a catastrophe for people who were there, but they weren't going to get their money back for their hotel rooms or anything like that. It smelled, and we get red tides from time to time
And
in
sometimes
Florida,
you have bad weather.
but-
That doesn't mean you get your money back on hotels.
You know
or-
what? In 1970, out in Oregon, when I was a kid, they had a 45-foot whale come up onto the beach dead on a nice beach area, and the people from the town decided to dynamite the whale to get rid of it, because they couldn't get rid of it. So they put a little too much dynamite in the whale carcass, and it blew rotten whale blubber for like a quarter mile in all directions. It just rained down. So if you had rented a beach house there was whale blubber rotten all over your house, your pool, your car, but you know, the beach was open. It was a little smelly.
How have I known you for 30 years? This is exactly the kind of story you'd want to tell me. And I have never, our kids are watching, they're looking at me, they're in shock because they've never heard the story,
You know
and
what?
I've never heard that
You know
story.
what? I think I saw something in the news about it.
That reminded you of it?
It reminded me of it. It was so long ago. But those kind of things happen, and they can affect your experience, certainly, but doesn't mean you're going to get the money back.
Right.
So John wants to know this. Hey, Harvey, why don't plaintiffs use or claim destruction of private property or vandalism when their dogs are mauled or killed by other dogs and negligent owners? I get your point, because dogs in most states are considered property. I think that's really unfair. But it's not so much an issue of vandalism. You are entitled to vet bills or the value of the dog if sadly the dog dies. But dogs are not considered living beings under the law.